white collar job, but after my third year, immediately after graduation, I became a writer, because from the time that I first stepped in the theater, I knew this is where I belonged. I felt I had found myself.
Wow, what a fascinating story right there, Kagai. I want to just teachers,
yes,
you know, because sometimes children tend to gravitate to what is around their space.
Yes,
you know, take us through that.
No, for me, I grew up. My parents are both my parents are primary school teachers. At least now they are retired, and they were both teaching English language, and so we had so many. For me, where in the house I grew up in, our toys were books. We could destroy everything in the. Now, for us in our home, our parents were always reading books. We used to fight for the newspaper every day. Every time our father would come back home, the first thing we'd fight for was the crossword puzzle. We were that kind of family. So we grew up in a family that treasured reading, that valued reading as a vocational activity. And my father, nobody really fancied poetry, but my father had poetry books. So for me, I started reading poetry when I was young, but it was a private fascination. You don't go to your friends, you know, when you're playing soccer and you start telling them, guys, first wait, I want to recite for you William Wordsworth. No. So it was something that I nurtured from home, domestically, but privately. The first time I had a chance to publicly show my love for poetry was in my third year. That is when I found a group of university students who were like me, were passionate about poetry, and we were open. We could share our sentiments, and everyone was okay with that.
Wow. Well, we're talking to Kagai right here on the Creative Industry Talk. Do you have a question for him? Do you have something to say to Peter? He's the lawyer. We're going to get into the lawyer bit of it. Reading to become a lawyer. And along the way, flipping to writing. It brings me to the first question. When did you first realize you wanted to actually be a writer?
Man, the first time I walked into the National Theatre stage. And for me, what attracted me to it was I was in the audience, and I'd been invited. As I studied literature for 6 years, I honestly had never met a Ugandan poet in blood and flesh. I always thought, right, you must be dead. So the idea of coming across a writer who was alive was alien to me. So the first time I walked into that stage, I saw what these guys were writing. I felt what they were writing, and I said to myself, I want to do that. I want to have the power to write words and speak them and move audiences the way I feel I have been moved.
Wow. And how long does it take you to write a book? You've been publishing. We're going to get into it just now. How long did it take you to write a book?
No, my first book took me 6 years. 6 years to write and 1 year to prepare for publishing. So I would say 7 years as a writer, learning to find your style, as a writer, learning your market, as a business person, learning about the reading culture. So it took me a period of 6 years to be able to understand that if I'm ever going to produce a book and I want people to read it long after I am gone, this is what I have to do.
Wow. I mean, Ngobi, we're going to take you to this next question about flipping from the law.
Yes.
The first love being the law. And then now the second love became the first love. Have you ever practiced law? What did your parents see that you were not seeing? When you say to them, I'm going to be a writer, did your father or your mother loved it at the time? Can you take us through it? Because most times parents say, we want you to be a doctor. We want you to be an engineer. And most of those, traditional parents like yours back in the days were typical teachers who lived in a career path that either a doctor or a lawyer, and I can see you're headed to being a lawyer. What happened when you finally say, Mom, Dad, I'm sorry, but I think I gravitated towards this is where I want to be? What was the reaction from your parents? Just so that we can learn from you, for somebody out there who may not know how to turn around that.
Well, first and foremost, I practiced law for only 1 week. Actually, not even 1 week. I think for 4 days of the first week, And
Yes, yes.
I spent more time
Yeah.
writing poems
Yeah.
than than writing legal briefs.
Yes.
All the days that I went to court, honestly speaking, the judge and the lawyers were making submissions. I was writing poems. So at the end of the week, I had to be honest to myself.
Yeah.
And this was a question I asked myself.
Yeah.
But Peter,
Yeah.
what do you really want to do with your life?
Yeah.
You are at a law firm, but you are writing poems more than actually attending to the legal work. So why don't you? Why are you cheating yourself? So why don't you focus on this thing that you're calling your passion? Try to nurture it and stop living a fake life because you're pretending to enjoy this lawyering thing, but you are not.
Yeah.
So I went and I talked to at the time I was still at LDC.
Yeah.
I'd graduated, I had a bachelor's in law.
Yeah.
And I was studying to get my practicing certificate.
Yeah.
And we were in term 3.
Yeah.
And so, but the time, but I was doing some practice,
Yeah.
some paralegal work, and I said to myself, I'm not just cheating myself, but I'm also cheating my parents. They had given me tuition to pay,
Yes.
but I made sure I wait for my father to come back home, and my mother was already at home. So I went and I told them, I am done, I am tired, and I didn't eat your school fees.
Here is the money.
Here is the cash.
Yeah.
I want to be a writer. Please allow me to drop out of LDC and pursue this thing. And my father asked me the same question, and they were not happy. That, to be honest,
You could see.
I could see, but then they could also understand that I wanted to do something that I wanted. So my father asked me the question, "What are you going to do now?" My answer to him was, "What am I not going to do?" And because for me, I saw it as an opportunity to explore every other thing I always wanted to do with my poetry. So be it taking it to studio, be it taking it to theaters around the world, be it publishing it in books.
Yeah.
I felt I needed the time to grow. I needed the time to unlearn. I needed the time to practice my craft. And so they were not happy, but they were supportive. I mean, there are days I've gone home and I found my mother praying for my book, dedicating it to, and you walk in the house and she's saying, "Dear God, make my..."
Wow.
So I recognize those efforts.
Yes.
That my parents, and the pains that they had to go through to allow me to become the thing that I wanted to be.
Well, I mean, what would be your best advice to a parent out there? I mean, at least you took a different path altogether. You were able to go out, tell your parents, look, respectfully, this is not something I feel I should continue. Allow me to drop out, pursue this, as opposed to going to do law and continue with the practicing certificate and get out of this law school, go to the courtroom or go to the law firm to try and practice law. Yet you know very well that your heart was not there and you're not going to enjoy it. So you definitely navigate the turbulent waters quite very nicely with your parents. Learning from the response from your parents and the decision you made then, what would be your best advice at this particular moment to children who want to make a turnaround? I mean, COVID-19 has come and hit. There is definitely a child out there who has turned around and realized that, you know what? The things I want to do, they wanted me to do at campus, I've since found out that my abilities are here and I want to develop this, and they are watching you right now. What would be your best advice to them? Not to say they should drop off school, but to go through what you've gone through is not an easy journey.
It's for me, what I would, first and foremost, what I would tell them is both the parent and the child or the guardian. What I would say is you have a choice to make. Either you want to invest in success or you want to invest in happiness.
Yes.
For me, what I have realized is I wish I cared more about the things that made me happy as a child when I was growing up, so that I even become skilled, more skilled in the things that bring me joy. I wish our society, and this for me goes to the child, to the parent, to anybody invested in education. As a society, we need to start investing more in people's interests. rather than society's interests. Because society's interests are static, but individual interests evolve with interests. The way you think of a child in nursery 10 years from now, when we don't even know what COVID is going to behave like 2 months from now. So why do we prepare people for a future that we don't even know it looks like? You see, now for all the resources that my parents invested in me being a lawyer, I eventually became a writer. And if they were not the kind of people who are raised or who in themselves were flexible enough to allow me to do, to the kids is this: invest in your happiness. There is nothing more important to you in your life than your own happiness. And the things that make you happy, imagine if they're the things that were making you money. Thank you.
Wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break. To Kagai Ngobi Peter, who is a poet, a theater poet, a writer, and of course is a lawyer, you know, practicing in the writing space. What a skill right there. And of course, if you have questions and answers, please drop it in there. We want to know whether you have some questions for Peter. If you're watching the show, please share it far and wide. Make sure you don't leave anyone behind. COVID-19 has come and hit, and we need to work with everyone. Stay right there. Creative in the Street Talk. We'll be right back after this break. I want to know from you, you know, and of course somebody who's watching this show either from here or a child watching in Myanmar or wherever they're watching, or in Congo where we are watched very much, would want to know, if I don't have the money and I have the passion and I have the zeal and I have the drive, but money is also needed to start it. How do I start? Where do I go? At least for you, one start if I want to start. And I was like, Kasozi.
I think we should try to be close to people who love what we do. Keep from that low level to another level because I had networks. Yes. Gloria Wavamuno changed my mind because I used to be Muyayona Street. So someone introduced me to Gloria Wavamuno that I'm good. Me, I didn't know. Then, I lost my phone like over 2 months.
Yes.
So surprisingly, I got a text from Gloria. Customers have been looking for you over the last 3 months. Then my mind was like, the daughter of a tycoon is looking for me. I was even moving on Loom Street. So that changed my mind and started respecting myself a bit. Like, somehow I'm important. If someone important
is looking for me,
That's opened my mind and started to know that I need to be serious, have a skill, have a business, and also work more with my fashion, because by then I was still an amateur. So I never had money to go to buy books, and no designer invite me, So I got to know basically all the knowledge through Aristotle, but I couldn't afford any book. I could go open and feed the mind. I move out, I make notes before I forget.
Yes.
An army of sheep led by a lion will beat an army of lions led by a sheep. That's a fake.
Yes.
So let's be very honest about this thing, and really understand that you need to understand where you lie and where you fall. So it's very important for us to understand that leadership has to be definitive. You can't be laissez-faire. It has to be definitive. You have to be strong, just like a lion. You know, when a lion meets an elephant or a buffalo or whatever, the buffalo and all these animals run away. And yet, by the way, they are stronger than the lion. They are heavier than the lion. They are more intelligent than the lion. They are taller than the lion. They run away. The lion, because of its attitude, it sees lunch. That is a leader.
Mr. Tony Trump, thank you very much for coming to the CEO bench. And I want to ask you, so if you were elected the President of the Republic of Uganda today, what would be your first State of Nation address now as you look into the camera and close the show?
I think my first State of the Nation address would first of all to... I think I'll just close it down.
I want to know from you, and of course somebody who's watching this show either from here or a child watching in Myanmar or wherever they're watching, or in Congo where we're watched very much, would want to know, if I don't have the money and I have the passion and I have the zeal and I have the drive, but money is also needed to start it, how do I start? Where do I go? At least for you, your father gave you 300,000 to go and do a course. We don't know whether you spent the whole school fees or you only spent 1 month, took part of the school fees. What happened? How did you start, your fashion? Did you get money from somewhere? How should one start if I want to start? And I was like, Kasozi.
I think we should try to be close to people who love what we do, basically.
Yeah.
Because even me, I managed to skip from that low level to another level because I had networks. Yes. Just me and Mia meeting Gloria Wavamuno changed my mind. Because I used to be Muyayona Street. So someone introduced me to Gloria Wavamuno, that I'm good, me I didn't know. Then, I lost my phone like over 2 months.
Yes.
So surprisingly, I got a text from Gloria. Customers have been looking for you over the last 3 months. Then my mind was like, the daughter of a tycoon is looking for me. I was even moving on Loom Street.
Yes.
So that changed my mind and started respecting myself a bit. Like, somehow I'm important. If someone important
is looking for me, that's opened my mind and started to know that I need to be serious, have a skill, have a business, and also work more with my fashion, because by then I was still an amateur. So I never had money to go to buy books, and no designer could invite me, So I got to know basically all the knowledge through Aristotle, but I couldn't afford any book. I could go open and feed the mind. I move out, I make notes before I forget. Yes.
Yeah.
We sit in the darkest corner of my vast mind. Rhymes, metaphors, and I. A friendship for 15 years and a million demons we share. Our feet shackled together. Today is just another day in prison. Another failed attempt to escape this compulsion. Compelling my resistance to this attraction of paper and pen. The urge to pick up this ink and stain this white is overwhelming. An agonizing ecstasy. My mind brimming and bursting at the seams with words and sentences. Drowning me, choking me with desire to write. so dark, so painful, so sweet, allowing me no peace until these words are allowed to flow from the gooey matter of my brain, through my veins, out of my fingers, into this pen, through the ink with which I jot this down. In this moment, I realize I've become a prisoner of my talent. Yes, I say talent not with vanity, I say talent because in days such as this, it ceases to be a privilege. It turns into a jail cell I've tried to break from, but each time I attempt an escape, I fall right back harder. Now I realize this was never my decision to make or to change. I am part of a separate entity of spirits who live by the pen. We teach, we correct, we rearrange, we give thoughts, opinions, and ideas wings with which to fly. And so, at a time like this, when these emotions are running high and screaming for release, and my entire being feels like it was created for this, I know that this is not a gift. This is an obligation.
Welcome back from that break. This is the Creative Industry Talk. My name is Eddie Okela, talking to Mr. Peter Kagai, who is a poet, a writer, a theater writer, and a drama writer. That's the man in the studio today on Creative Industry Talk. Peter, welcome back to the program.
Thank you.
I want to just remind everyone out there that we're live on Twitter, on Facebook, on YouTube. Go there, share it far and wide. And I want to take a moment, Peter, to just read a couple of questions coming in from people in the diaspora here. I'll start with one person in Germany. Eddie Okela, thank you very much for bringing my OB to the show. That guy, I was with him in school, and the story he's talked about is true. He's always been a bookwormer. Not little wonder he's ended up as a writer.
OB,
yes,
what's up? Good to hear from you.
Yes, and another one here. So I got another lady here called Susan, all the way in the US. I stayed up the moment I watched, and I read that Peter was coming onto the program. Thank you very much. Busoga, oh yeah!
Oh yeah!
And of course, I want to read a 2 or 3 more questions. There's somebody in London says, Eddie Okela, thank you very much for bringing Mr. Peter Kagai on the show. I'm a writer, and I wish we could amplify what Peter just said before we went for a break. We writers are always lazy. Those who say they are writers and cannot write constantly or cannot even write 3 or 4 pages daily are not writers. A writer worth their salt must always write at least 3 poems a day, and if you are writing a book, you must not go more than 2 years without writing a book. In a year, you should have written at least 2 books, even if you have not published. Wow.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
We got some writers out there who are coming. This one is coming from the British Council in Kampala. My name is Susan. I work with British Council in Kampala. Thank you very much. I know that guy. He's a great, talented guy. We've worked with him before. Shout out to Peter Ngobi. That the words, man, if you're not a writer, if you're waiting for inspiration, you're a waiter. I don't want to be a waiter anymore. Well, Peter, I guess we got some love coming out from people there. Share your kisses and disses coming to us. We want to hear it. I've got a very strange Ugandan sending a message from Denmark, one of the universities there. I live and work in Denmark, and of course, I'm a Ugandan, but thank you very much, Peter, for coming to the show today. I love what you're saying. I think if we continue to amplify our voice to say, instead of waiting for government to yambe, creatives should always hold their power back. That's what Peter is saying. A creative mind is a mind that is bigger than a politician. Politicians are not creative. They use the creatives to move forward. What Peter is saying is true. So why then are we waiting for these guys to tell us what to do? Yet we should be telling them what to do.
in our writing. You can write a poem, you can write a story to address your member of parliament or your LC or whoever you want, or the leader in your society, and they will listen to you because people will always relate to what you are saying, which they usually don't pick attention to. Thank you very much, Creative Industry Talk, for bringing such great, interesting minds to the show. Peter, over to you. I think you can see that a lot of people were reaching out, are talking about the same thing, making this possible and allowing this opportunity to come to people. I want to take you to your next question as we hasten to the close of the show. Peter, what would you say is your interesting writing quirk?
What quirk?
Yes.
Oh, what do you mean quirk? If you don't mind me asking.
The word quirk is Quirk.
Ah.
Yes, the one that you poets likes to use the most.
Quirk.
Yes. What is your most interesting, what I would say, the most interesting writing time of the day?
I'll break it down that way. Yes. Okay. I write anytime.
Okay.
The point is, when do I edit?
That's where you've got the quirk.
Yes. My quirk is at 3 a.m.
Okay.
I believe in the night. I believe in the quietness. When the dog feels like the world is fast asleep, and you attend. I mean, when silence speaks to you. Yeah. But for me, the effort in writing, actually, the great work in writing is not in the writing itself.
Yeah.
It is in the polishing of the writing.
Okay.
Yeah. So I can even write a poem right now, off air. I can think of lines. But now the whole idea of now, interrogating the thoughts, developing the patterns you want it to have, thinking of, the listening audience, all those, 3 a.m.
Wow. And my next question is, how do books get published? This is a question that came in from somebody. A viewer wrote and said, can you ask him, how do books of poets get published?
Let me just break down. Okay, two ways. There is self-publishing, and then there is traditional publishing. Self-publishing is where the writer wants to do it themselves. You want to be in control of the production process from the word get-go up to the end point. So from the word get-go, I mean from preparing the manuscript to printing the book at the end of it all. So, but the processes are simple. So you develop a manuscript. Now, according to Makerere University, and I'm giving a standard that at least is that can be publicly interrogated.
Yes.
According to Makerere University, your manuscript should have about 30 poems. At least.
Yes.
At least 30 poems. Then after that, you take the work to an editor. And then that editor is the person who helps you to polish it up to make sure that it is legible and it is worthy being consumed by readers.
Yes.
Then after that, the manuscript is forwarded to the designers, the layout designers and cover and designers and illustrators if you wanted to have some pictures. Then you have to go to the Uganda Society Library to get the international standard book number. It is only 30,000 shillings. It is that barcode that each book should have, so that it can be internationally sold in all public places and be catalogued in all libraries. Then after that, the book goes to printing. You have to find the appropriate printers for you. And of course, there are the proofreaders that you also have to hire. Then after the book has been printed, now the book has to be sold to the market. So now thinking about distributing the book and making and giving it visibility. And that's it. Now that is a process that you can do as an individual. You can hire people to give you those services. You can even have your own logo that you'd want to attach to your books. There is that. The second process is where you find a publisher who does this work on a daily, and what you do is you sell them your manuscript, or you come up with a legal arrangement where you become co-owners of the copyright in that work.
Wow. And Peter, there's a book up there called The God Prayers.
Yes.
Can you take us through the God Prayers and actually give us one of the poem in that book?
So The God Players is a poetry collection written by Ita Patience Mbeki. Mbeki she's now a PhD student at Makerere Institute of Social Research.
Yeah.
But by the time we published it, she was a teacher at King's College Budo. So what we were doing then was promoting literature among young people by encouraging their teachers to also write.
Wow.
Because the idea was if the students see their teachers publishing, then they would also want to they'll be more confident to also think of taking on publishing.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I don't have all the poems in that book offhand,
Okay.
but I can tell you about a poem there that I like.
Yes.
There is a poem in there that I like that is called of absentee wives and mothering housemaids, where she is an author. She is a woman who is talking about why I like this poem. She's talking about how the modern day woman today has abandoned her domestic responsibilities to the house help.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
And so and you see how house helps become wives and mothers in their homes, where they're replacing the role of actually the wife, because the wife has also become a man.
Yeah.
So I really liked that poem in that book.
And in the next book, which you have out there, I mean, if you just put that book up quickly,
Yes.
Ungodly Hour. What do you mean by Ungodly Hour? And what is this? This is a Kitara Nation Poetry Series 4.
Yes, now, Ungodly Hour, this is a collection of poems by students from Mount St. Mary's College, Namagunga.
Yeah.
Like I said, this project that we're running of publishing these books was about promoting the culture of publishing.
Yeah.
There is literature taught in schools, but the culture of publishing is not there.
Yes.
So for us, we wanted to make books cool. We wanted to make publishing cool. So this is a book that we published from Mount St. Mary's College, Namagunga, and Ungodly Hour is one of the poems in there.
Okay.
And the poem itself, as you can see the cover, it is an hourglass, and there seems to be a lost soul that is drowning.
Yes.
And in that poem, these teenagers are talking about the things that they do at home, at night when their parents are asleep. You know, so the book talks about the drugs that they take, you know, the nightlife that they have that their parents do not know, and it's
Because they are soul searching.
Yes, because they are soul searching. It's talking about this darkness that they grow up with, that their parents don't ever get to see, because when their parents see them, they are seeing them going to church and they think these are holy people. Yet ultimately they have these demons that they are fighting, and they come out at night. They come out at that ungodly hours.
Wow.
Yes.
Let's talk about the
Poetry Bungalow.
Bungalow,
Now, these are students of Seta High School, Mukono. And again, from the same idea, promote the culture of publishing among young people, give them the confidence to know that your words are valuable, that they are worthy of being published in a book and read and taught and loved by others. So Poetry Bungalow was that project that we did at Seta High. And for them now, what we found interesting about these poems is now Poetry Bungalow is a mixed school. So the poems that we have in here talk about the artificial relationships that students develop in mixed schools, where the school tells you you should not mix with boys. It's a mixed school, but boys sit the other side, girls sit this side.
We went through it in a Seventh-day Adventist school. Very strict. No, there's always a line drawn in between here, boys. You cross, you get enough stroke. Continue.
Yes, I'm telling you. And this book actually interrogates that culture. So there are these poems that talk about how students live in plastic atmospheres where they are always competing with each other, comparing each other's flaws, and not willing to help each other grow. And yet they're living in an environment that is not allowing them to express themselves honestly.
Poetry Bungalow.
That's the Poetry Bungalow.
Wow. Well, if you're joining us, it's a Creative Industry Talk. We're talking to Mr. Peter Kagai Ngobi, who is a poet, a theater poet, a drummer, a lawyer, and is the man who is the publisher's world. He is the co-founder and editor-in-chief of the Kitara Nation.
right? And you can see the work of Guitar Nation right out there, you know, showing far and wide. Peter, I want to ask a question coming from the viewer up here that says, thank you very much, Peter, for that answer on the publishing. That's really good. I wish we could have people talk more about this for young writers like some of us. I didn't even know that you have to go through this. It looks so very elaborate, but thank you. My question goes to Peter. Where do you get your information or ideas for your books, Peter?
Where do
The viewer is asking,
yes.
where do you get your, you know, where do you get your information or ideas for? I guess she's saying, how do you develop your ideas? So I know we talked about it, but you could throw more light on it again.
No, everything comes from research.
Yeah.
Research and reading.
Yeah.
And probably this is what I mean. The process of, when I write a poem, I'm not thinking about writing. Okay, the process of compiling a book is not the same process of compiling a poem.
Yes.
When I'm compiling a book, I am getting a collective of my thoughts I have gathered over time.
Yeah.
And I want you to know me through my poems I have written.
Yes.
So that means that first thing that I have to consider is what are my interests? Yes. What are the things that speak to me when I'm writing? Yeah. You know, because when you want people to know you, you want them to know you about the things that are personal to you. Yeah. So that's the first thing you consider. Second thing you consider is who is going to read? In what language do they speak? In what language do you write? Yeah. So I am a Musoga, but right now I mostly write in English language. Yeah. So when I'm putting my books together, I know that I am targeting English language readers. Where do I find them? How do I find them? How do I market to them? Yeah. So you think about, for me, most importantly, a book, even a poetry book, it is a storybook. Any book you put together, why they call that book a page turner is because whatever you put on that page is going to encourage that person to open the other page, to go deeper and deeper. So you have to be careful on what you put on the first page, the second page, the third, the fourth, because it must be connected from the first cover to the next cover.
Eddie, thank you very much. Just before you end the show, can you please ask Peter, when did he first publish his first book and how old were you?
No, I first published when I was, I first published when I was 29. Yeah. My first book, the headline that morning.
Yes.
It was the first book myself published. But before that, my friends in the Lantern Meet had published. I'm a late
Daniel
Nuamanya.
Yes, Daniel Mutembesa.
Yes, they are. Yes, wonderful. Yes. That generation.
Yes, yes. I have been around that.
Yes, surprised. I'm surprised. So our first book was in 2012.
Yeah.
And by that time, I was already out of campus. Yes. It was called Broken Voices of the Revolution. Yes. Now, the first book I worked on with my own hands was in 2013. It was for my students at Nabisunsa Girls School. They were in S4, and we published for them a book.
Okay. And then I have a last question here, which is coming and saying that, what do you like to do when you are not writing, Peter?
When I'm not writing, what do I like to do? Yes. I like to do anyway,
we know you're already not practicing law when you're not writing.
No. When I'm not writing, I am reading. If I'm not reading, I am watching. I am blessed to be a publisher. Okay. So either I'm reading other people's works, or I am scouting for talent. So I'm going through social media looking for writers to publish. My work is, honestly speaking, I am a writer. I do most 99% of my life. I'm either writing or reading.
Yes. And as we hasten to the close, before we take, the next steps of question about, being on stage and performing on stage, Peter, what was one of the most, surprising thing that you learned in creating your books, or creating books for others, or writing books for others? What's the surprising thing that you can talk about as a publisher, as a writer, as a poet? Yes,
those ones are many.
Remember, we are talking about defining and distinguishing.
I think
the poet, the prose, and the drama in it.
I think there are quite a number of surprising things.
Yes.
One is don't ever expect your friends to support you.
Yes.
I think the biggest mistake you can ever make as a writer is to listen to people tell you, hey, you publish, we shall buy. Go, me, I'll buy 100 books.
Yes.
Me, I'll buy 10.
Yes.
And then you bring the book, and then that's when they remember,
Yeah.
I have bills to pay. I think for me, the biggest lesson I have learned in publishing is ultimately, if you want to make this a career, and you want it to be a success, avoid marketing to friends and family.
Okay.
Because you first and foremost will avoid disappointment, and that disappointment that brings disillusionment.
Yes, yes.
So when you're target strangers. We see how you go to a show and you don't expect to see only family and friends.
Yeah.
The people that turn up are the people that matter.
Yeah.
So for me, because all over time I've been producing books and wanting my friends, but your friends are your friends not because, your friends like you because of you.
Yeah.
Not because you are a writer. So when you try to force your passion on them, it might even distance them. I have siblings who have never read my books. And we meet every day, but reading is not their thing. So if I become emotional and I'm like, yo, Enoch, you're my kid, bro, you're not even buying my book, then I'm actually killing off a market and giving off a wrong vibe.
Yeah.
But if I target the reader, who is a stranger, but that person who loves reading, then that person is always even going to help me grow my business because they're going to market me to other readers. Yeah. So I learned that very fast. Yes. Avoid the obvious. Avoid thinking that your friends will support you, your family will support. They love you as you, not because of you. In fact, they don't even understand your art things. So look for the people that art. And for me, by the way, this is very important because most of us get frustrated when we don't see our friends supporting our hustle. It is not that they don't want to support us. These things are not for them. They also have their own passions. Yes. So I learned that. Secondly,
third, actually.
Money. I want to talk about money.
Yes, third is the money, yes.
Whether you like it or not, you will not escape the question of resources.
Yeah.
And you must have answers.
And you can't produce all these things without resources.
You must have, unless you're going to wait for manna and quail to drop from heaven, but you must provide the answer to that. No one else is going to.
Yeah.
Don't think that there is someone with a basket of money waiting to just dish it to you. So you have to lobby. You have to know who to talk to in the industry. You have to know why it's important to start companies, why it's important to have a tax identification number, why it is important for you to know where to get the Uganda registration services, the Euro holograms. You need to know the business. You need to know the industry, so that way you can know who to go to when you need that particular kind of help. Without that, you'll keep on writing in the dark, and that's why your writing will stay.
Talking of that, Peter, we are coming to that part of the show that is really very interesting, and I love what you have said, that the three things I picked from you. Number one, you must love what you're doing. Number two, you must not force your friends to love what you're doing. Target those who you know are going to buy. Know your readers.
Yes.
And if you know that these are the readers, these readers, when they pick, they will pick and give it to another reader, and they will recommend, and that will be number three. You talk about money being key. You are not going to write these things for no money, and if you don't have the money, you cannot produce this. And if it is not sellable, then your friends won't buy it, however good you are. Because Sylvester told us here, look into your phone numbers. We had Sylvester Kabombo here last week, and he talks about if you look into your phone book and you don't find 50 people who can buy your ticket to come to the concert, then you are expecting the festival people to bring you in or the promoter to bring you in, yet you yourself can't have 100 people. Then you need to go and delete your phone book or stopped. If not, go back and start all over again and make sure you create that from there. That's a big lesson we're picking from there. It's all about resources, because the artists have struggled and have failed. Peter, as we close the show, let's talk about your first time on stage in Kampala. You have been working with Bayimba and doing some stuff with Bayimba and training with Bayimba. We talk about the schools. But let's talk about what opportunity did Bayimba actually present to you.
And when we talk about Baimba as the foundation, and you said the first time you performed there, what was the experience like? Take us through, and what have you been doing to try and leave your legacy in that space?
Yo, Baimba changed my life. Literally,
Yeah.
it changed my life. And Baimba, I'd always known about Baimba for a while,
Yeah.
and Baimba had known about me as well. I was part of a poetry group called the Lantern Meet of Poets.
Yes.
And so between 2010 and 2014, Baimba used to feature us at the various festivals.
Yeah.
In 2014, I went solo. And I started, and I was still at Nabisusa at the time, and wanted to do a poetry festival. And I reached out to Baimba for help. And Baimba told me, Peter, one day we shall help you. Maybe you're not in the position to do so. Then in 2016, I'd started Kitara Nation. And this is after I spoke directly to Faizo Chiwewa. I was young then. I was just from law school. I wanted to figure out this thing. And he tells me, Peter, you know what? If you want to figure this industry, we need structures. You know, as poets, you need to create organization. You need to create structures which can also other organizations can interact with. So my friends and I started Kitara Nation. And through Kitara Nation, Baimba managed to link us to Africalia, and that's how we got our first grant that we used between 2017, actually up to 2020 to 2021, to promote poetry programs in schools. And then between that time, between 2016 and 2021 also, we had an opportunity to present, to make theatre poetry productions at the various Baimba Festival editions. So it was not even no longer just one call. Now it was contractual. Every year, Kitara Nation had to create a theatre poetry product to be showcased at the Baimba Festival.
And this is what we're seeing here on stage.
Yes, and those are the young poets that we worked with from schools, and now they are at the festival. In fact, in one of the slides, you will see my mother on stage with us.
Wow.
Because we also said, no, it's not enough for us to just be working together. Let us invite our parents to come through as well. So for me, the first thing that Baimba, as I said, for me, as an artist individually, it helped me recognize the importance of structures, the importance of coming together as with young poets, for us to be able to create companies that will help us deal with other organizations. Secondly, Baimba gave us the platform to showcase our various talents.
So was this also still at Baimba?
Yes, that's still at Baimba. The poet with a cape is a poet we found from Busoga College, Muiri. And you can see there is a guitarist just behind him playing. So for us, we believe in song poetry, so merging music and poetry. And here he was we were doing a theater. This is actually Arrest the Poem. We were doing it at Lunkulu Festival. Next to him is Luz the poet. At the time, he had dropped out of school and he had nothing to do. And so he felt he wanted to be a poet, and he didn't have to go through the challenges some of us had to go through. And he came to join us. Next to him is Don Wanyama. Don Wanyama was the head prefect at Busoga College, Muiri, that year. And him with the gentleman with the cape at the back. They are the people who took school poetry to Busoga, after this project. Next to them, you don't see the face, the guy with the kanga. He's called Nifrod Odot. For him, he was a poet from Namilyango College. So after this project, he also went back to Namilyango College and started a poetry club. So this is how the project has been running. And now that is the legend himself, Daniel O'Mara. Daniel O'Mara started, he was at St. Mary's College, Chisubi at that time. He started over 5 poetry schools before he went to Russia to study medicine and also start a poetry club at his university there.
Wow.
So these are the young people that we've been working with, and through Baimba, we have been able to give them a platform to, first and foremost, see that they are talented, and that secondly, their words can give them monetary value, because some of them are now doing this as a career.
Wow. When you talk about this, what would be your best advice to a young poet out there as we close the show? What kind of platform do they look for? Where do we find you? How does one interact with you? And how do we connect with you at Kitara? What's the best advice you can give us today that when we go and think through it with this COVID-19 pandemic situation and endemic situation that we're in, and the confusion surrounding COVID-19, the uncertainty that lies ahead of us, how does an artist, a poet, stand out tomorrow to say, yes, I can continue to move with this hope and it is possible? And how do I get my work to the hands of people who may not know I exist? Like the same way you got to Faizo, how would we get there on Baimba? Yeah.
Thank you. For me, what the advice I would give to any young poet out there is the advice that I wish somebody gave me. In fact, someone gave me and I rejected it. Learn your craft. Professionalize early. Learn how to professionalize early. It doesn't matter whether you're 10 or 20 or 30 or 40. Learn how to be a professional writer. How do professionals behave? Who do they know? Secondly, invest in knowing the people in your industry. You might be shy. Some of us choose to write because we are shy. We don't know how to express ourselves. And now here I am telling you, go out there and be confident. Be deliberate about growing your reputation and growing your profile as a writer. And that includes talking to people or reaching out to people or researching about people who will help you improve on your profile. But even that is something that you don't just wake up one day and know how to do. Go to the University of YouTube. Learn. Teach, self-educate yourself about marketing, about creative writing. Know the best-selling books out there right now. Know the trends. Know your industry. Know the people. Know the people, because knowledge is the only resource that you have right now that will make you that dream. Every time you put that pillow down and you imagine yourself being as even bigger than Shakespeare or being bigger than Okot Pabitek, that thing that's going to push you is in the ability to be able to let people see your talent, to be able to argue and demonstrate your talent to everyone else. And it won't come from you just writing and putting your poems back in your book and then hiding them in your pillow. You have to be at the forefront of your career.
Finally, Peter, 2021 is coming to a close. We're going into a new year. You've been collaborating with Baimba Foundation. What plans do we have, in the days ahead, if any, and you want to share with us? I see a message here flashing from the messenger. Too many messages, over 500 on messenger. I can't read all the messages on messenger, but thank you very much, everybody. But just one saying that how do I get into the program with Baimba that Peter is talking about? He's a poet. He's a drummer himself. He says he's a drummer artist. I don't know what that means. He's an actor. But want to know, how do they get, and is there any program for them in days ahead? Could you share some more light as we close?
All right. If you're interested in publishing poetry, for example, you can reach us. You can reach out to Kitara Nation. We have a website, our social media spaces. It's all Kitara Nation. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Our email is kitaranation.uganda@gmail.com. Reach out. Let's start a conversation. Yeah. Now, if you're interested in learning how to perform and how to write and how to perform, it's the same way. You can reach us. You can reach out to us on our various media platforms, and we shall be able to help you. Now, for those of you who have programs or projects that you want to run and you want to reach out to Baimba, you can go through their social. The beauty about the social media these days is that it has made it easier. To access some people where previously, you had to write a letter or you had to write an email. These days, just a messenger message is enough to get you, through that door. Yes, and now for those ones who would want to know more about writing and maybe marketing books, publishing, come and we talk. Reach out to us. We have a number of programs that we are running for poets. We have Verse in Vac. We have the Kitara Nation Poets Poetry Program that we also run, where we train ourselves and we train young people in theater poetry. Next year, if all goes well, we are also
This is next year, 2022.
Yeah, 2022.
Yeah.
We are bringing back the culture of poetry recitals if the government allows us to have public performances again. So we are coming up with a weekly poetry show in Kampala, and anyone, as long as you love performing poetry, you can come up with your poem and perform, you know. And again, if you have a manuscript and you want to publish, we are your guys. Just come and we talk.
Thank you very much, Peter, for coming to the show today. And first, I want to put a topic up there and just to remind everyone, you know, that we've been talking about defining and distinguishing poetry, prose, and drama in Uganda and across borders. When we say in Uganda and across border, locally here in Uganda, within the boundaries of Uganda, do we have, is it distinguished, defined? Is poetry clear? Do we see the prose when people perform? Do we understand what it means? That's what Peter has been sharing on the show today. And then, of course, we have been talking to Peter Kagai, who is the co-founder of Kitara Nation. Kitara Nation is one of the publishing house, and Peter himself is the publisher. He's a writer, he's a poet, he's a drummer, he's a theater writer. So if you have projects for him, please reach out to him. And we'd like to say thank you very much to everyone. We would like to say, Peter, that it's been really great, you know, having you on the program today.
Thanks for having
me. I want you to take this moment and close the show with a beautiful poem from Peter that closes. A piece from the Kitara Nation.
Wow. Freedom. Freedom is the music of voices stretched in our throats, reaching out to our hearts since our voices were once ghosts. Freedom is the music of voices remembering the ones we have lost in fright and in fear. Freedom is knowing in the morning you can open your heart's window and let the sun in. Freedom is knowing why a caged bird sings. Freedom. Freedom. That's me.
Thank you so much. We've come to the end of the show today. We want to say beautiful day. Stay in freedom, and please, freedom is opening up your heart very hard in the morning and let the sun in. Until then, Creative Industry Talk has come to an end. Edio Killer and Peter Kagai Ngobi signing out.
One doesn't support conscience, packages conscience. Suspense pains, harvest with it, and he's with scandal. All is in silence, silence. A shell, shot, rattle. Leave the broom in the corner of the room. And when the shadow is behind your heels and the moon is full, go to the well and you will find a black stone. Pick it up. Pick it up. Move and don't look back. Don't look back. Don't look back.
What can the men do okay, to promote women's sports or basketball for that matter?
Yes, so today morning, someone told me, he made research, actually my brother, that these days the NBA actually facilitates the WNBA games to see that they're also somewhere. How about the NBL men starts doing something, not totally like investing in and all that, but it can be with the support system. It can be one very good thing, seeing that creating more opportunities for these ladies, putting up different games like, so as like women can be like seen or showing that these guys also like care. It can start with support, and then with time they can also like recommend whoever facilitates them to like partially have his thoughts somewhere on the women's team, so that like they can all go about like together, in solidarity. I think that can work. I don't think it's something big. It can start with support and then financially with time.
Now I'm going to talk to my people.
Yes.
Because I like what, as we are saying, vive la France, vive la francophonie. So, le leadership, c'est quoi? Le leadership, ce n'est pas le fait d'intimider les gens ou bien de dominer les gens, non. Le leadership, c'est le fait d'aider les gens à suivre le bon chemin. Parce qu'il y a des gens qui sont là, ils ne savent même pas par quel chemin emprunter. Il y a des gens qui ont même étudié, mais ils ne savent pas quel business ils doivent faire. Maintenant, l'idée, quand tu rencontres une personne pareille, tu vas l'orienter. Non, tu peux faire mieux que ce que tu fais. Non, la peur que tu as là ne va pas te tuer. Tu peux aller au-delà de la peur. L'idée, c'est comme j'avais donné l'exemple, allow me to go a little bit deeper. J'avais donné l'exemple ici en français, en anglais, pardon. La vidéo que j'avais vue à propos des chiens, il y avait un groupe de chiens au niveau du Canada et il n'y avait pas de l'eau. Pourquoi? Parce qu'il y avait la neige, il n'y avait pas la place pour que tout le monde puisse boire de l'eau. Mais il y avait seulement une petite place pour le boss que je vais appeler. Et il ne voulait pas que les autres puissent venir boire de l'eau, comme il était boss, il intimidait les gens. Mais il y avait un petit garçon, un petit chien qui était là à côté. Il a eu l'idée de briser la glace, là où il y avait pas, parce que l'eau était en dessous et il n'y avait pas moyen de boire, mais le petit chien a brisé et tout le monde a vu ce qu'il faisait. Ils sont venus, ils ont commencé à briser et tous ont profité avec l'eau potable. Et le boss était laissé comme un vaurien. Personne ne le faisait encore confiance parce qu'il n'était pas là pour les aider. Il était là pour le faire peur, les intimider. Mais l'idée, c'est quelqu'un qui est là pour aider quelqu'un à avancer jusqu'à son destin, à sa vision. Parce que nous avons tous nos visions, mais c'est la peur des fois qui nous arrête. Merci mon ami.
You have to know each equipment. You have to know the brew ratio. Actually, the brew ratio is I think the most important. Brew ratio now most people may not understand. It is the ratio of the coffee powder to water and the yield. Water in this article will bring us into the yield. If I put 10 grams of coffee into my portafilter, how much of it am I? Exactly. So if you don't master the brew ratio, oh, everything is going to turn out a mess. You understand? Even if you know that knowledge and you don't master the brew ratio.
And one thing I would like to allude to or tell the other youth out there is we have to start creating our own solutions for our own problems. Otherwise, no one else is going to come from Europe,
Yes.
America, or wherever to try and fix our own issues.
Yeah.
So I would like to urge other youth, the other creatives out there, hit the ground running, go in there, try and solve the problem that your neighbor has, the problem that your friends have.
Yeah.
And by creating those solutions, you can easily become the next big company of tomorrow, creating bigger solutions nationwide and on a continent level.
First and foremost, thank you very much for hosting me. I'm really, really humbled, and I'm blessed to be here. Yeah, surely. Talking about basketball, personally, my journey of basketball started from far, very, very far. That was in high school, and in a situation whereby we did not have enough exposure. We didn't have coaches. We didn't have the facilities like we do have them right now. Although I'm saying this like there's so many years ago, there are not so many. That was about, I began knowing basketball in 2007. That was at KPC when I was in P7 vacation. That is end of 2007 actually, that KPC North. That's when I first touched the basketball. Then 2008 when I joined Namibyango in Senior 1. I saw people playing. Actually, the people whom I saw there playing and inspired me were Sally of, he played for Chambogo Warriors, if you remember him.
The left-handed.
Yes. And Omongin. Omongin, last I saw him playing for City Oil. Those were the guys whom I found in Namibyango. I was in Senior 1. These guys were playing basketball at another level. And we would actually just go there to watch them. For us by that time, they couldn't allow you to step on the basketball court that those guys are on, because they were senior 6s, you are a senior 1. You just the best you can do is watch. Other than that, you don't step there. But nonetheless, that's where I started. Beautifully, or I would say lucky for me, that when I was playing with those guys, once in a while when they could see me about midday 1, when the sun is very hot, when they are still resting and waiting to come. So when we would go to court and try a few shots here and there, and then they would come and they meet us, they would see what we are doing, and they would identify talent. I don't know if I can use that one. So one or another, they identified my talent. They realized I could at least throw in the ball. At any sport, they would just give it to me. Although I was weak, I didn't know how to bounce. They only told me one thing: throw in the ball. And throwing in the ball gave me an opportunity to play with them. When I was in Senior 1, Senior 2. But still, of course, I still had people who didn't believe in me, and it was challenging.
It's a CEO bench, so usually people want to assume that all CEOs are overlearned and stuff like that. So I will change the script this time around. I consider myself a certified hustler.
If I'm looking to know who you are you Ugandan? If yes, what are the values that define you as Ugandan?
That's the easiest question, I think, to answer. I am a typical Lao man from Erute North, in a place called Ogur, and where I will be laid to rest is in a village called Agweng. So if you go there and you just say Otoa Tony, they won't really know me because my father is also Otoa Tony. You have to ask for Junior, and when you're asking, you have to ask with an accent. Junior Tikwene, where is Junior? And they will identify me. But I'm typically Ugandan, only Ugandan, from Lira. I pride myself from being from Lira. Earlier on, I was joking and saying I'm the coolest Lago south of Karuma. When you cross Karuma, there are so many. But when you're down the south after Karuma, I think I'm number one.
Wow. Well, now that you know Tonyo Toa is Ugandan, and of course, what are the values that define you as a Ugandan?
I think it's the love for country, love for nation. You know, truth be told, the country is in a lot of, it's a crisis. Leadership crisis, economic crisis, social crisis. There's so many mismatching areas.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's home. You know, you cannot run and abandon your home because of the issues in your home. I think that then creates an opportunity for you to do something to change what's happening and what you see as a crisis. So in terms of what I see as a value, or what I take out of that for me, I think is just the love for country, the need to serve country the best way I can. And I mean, I can't say I can change everything, but the little I can do to create a difference, I think is more meaningful.
Wow. Yeah. Mr. Tonyo Toa, growing up, what did you want to be in life? And what was the journey like for Mr. Toa?
Yeah, you know, my father is crazy. My father would call us and he would show me the compass. The idea was supposed to be a pilot. You know, the planes would fly over our house and my father would be like, yeah, you're going to be a pilot. Yeah. But of course, as you grow, you realize that you have so many things that really define you. I was never a sportsman. So I enjoyed a lot of debate and, you know, a lot of indoor activities. And that is, I think, what really drove me into some of the things that I do up to today. Public speaking, the love for debates and really a lot of intellectual discourse and all this stuff. But besides that, I think it's also the fact that I won't lie. I did not know what I wanted to be.
Welcome back from the break. This is the Creative Industry Talk. My name is Eddie Okila, and this particular show today, we're talking to a young man from PG, the central part of Uganda, who is a fashion designer. Ras Kasozi, aka actually known as Charles Kasozi, is a Ugandan boy who is a fashion designer. And of course, you've had the first part of the show when we're talking to Kasozi about his background and how, you've been able to go across the world. Welcome back to the program, Kasozi. I know we talked about the background, and I like so far the story. It's very authentic, how it comes out, and how you got inspired into the fashion industry. The story with Wavamuno's daughter is quite a very amazing story right there, that somebody texts you and then you're able to realize, oh wait, I'm actually important. If Gloria Wavamuno is looking for it, means that there's certain value that she gives me which you are not giving to yourself. That in itself is a plus, going forward. Mr. Kasozi, would you tell us a little bit more about the journey from the local scene of fashion design here to the international stages that you've been able to go?
It's been quite challenging, but it takes self-confidence. Yes, from the start you need to know what you want. Like me, I've been an artist, like I'm born an artist, though not knowing which direction. I've tried all kind of art. Yes, and I always apply too much art in my fashion. Though as we grow, we meet different people and they tell you more about what you do. That's why I always say we need to be close to people who understand our vision. Yes, people who can support what we do. For example, for my first international platform, by then I was working with Babaluku, Bavubuka All Stars. Yes, I was part of it. Yes. And for him, is from this international scene. Yeah. So he grabbed all my photos and applied unknowingly. Yes, because he knew I couldn't understand that. So he applied after. He told me, Kasozi, you have a passport? I said, yes. Then he chilled it. He told me, yeah, next month, you're coming here. I couldn't believe that, of course. Yes. I know he was just encouraging me to work hard because I couldn't know that I deserve that or I can be part of that. Because I was even the first African to be to Vancouver Fashion Week. Yeah, and Ugandan, you get coming from the ghettos. I was working from this corner. You get like a smaller place, paying 50K a month. You get so that wasn't my platform. So when it reached to 2 weeks after working on all the papers, they told me you go to Canadian consulate and ask for visa fee. There, I got that I think it was a month before, I started to panic that it was serious. And with that month, I had to spend 2 months from Kenya processing the visa. You know, in our mindset, too many visa tebazigabaye. And with art, you work with motivation. So every time I could try to get a piece of paper to sketch, I could get nervous, think of a visa, I failed. Till after the 2 weeks, I got my visa and I started sketching. I remember I did my sketches even from the bus as I was coming back from Kenya. When I reached home, I started sleepless nights, I made my collection in two weeks. That was 48 pieces. One person.
Wow.
And a miracle happened to me. I had to fly 3 days before the fashion show. And I planned to finish on that exact day. So accidentally, I didn't know, I left here the same date. I spent 18 hours on the way and I reached the same hours I left here. So I advanced like
24 hours.
Yes. So I got that extra day to finish my stuff. But that changed my mind so much because I reached to Vancouver and they always go through your work. If it doesn't reach that standard, you don't showcase. I was on a big panic. But models showed me that I've passed that. Models were grabbing, fighting for my pieces. I never even wait for
from
the
local
director.
stage in Uganda here.
Yes.
To now model fighting for you, and this was your biggest stage. How many stages have you been in Uganda before this opportunity to go to Vancouver by
then I think I'd done two. I'd showcased to Silk and Bayimba.
So first was Bayimba and then Silk.
Yes. Then my third was international.
Wow.
And on that show, I tend to be among the top 3 designers. Yes. And I was showcasing with Michael Kors, So after that, people loved my collection so much. And I got another opportunity to showcase my collection again. I remember they were launching some electric car. Yes, they had produced. So I was their entertainer. So I loved the tour so much, and it changed my mindset because the love I got there, I never had it here. So I was like, why am I home people convincing me? So I came back very tough with another mindset. Fighting for myself.
I want to know from you, this is a very compelling story. If you're following the show, it's a creative industry talk right here on House of Talent Television. My name is Edio Killer, and Kasozi is in the studio, or Kasozi Charles, who is Ras Kasozi, is on the program. And of course, we're talking about his journey to the national, from the national here, from the local stages in Uganda to the international platform in Vancouver, Canada. And that's a very fascinating story right there. Again, earlier on you talked about we need to surround ourselves with people who will inspire us. I want you to take us back. You are now in Canada. You have been, loved, and you came back with a different mindset altogether. Did you earn money, or money wasn't a biggest motivator at that point?
For them, it's automatic. It's the system. It's not about me.
Yes.
It's about the system.
Yes.
It's like however much you want to travel to Uganda without paying. The system is they need your ticket in a bus. You
Yes,
get.
yes.
So for them, they know the system
Yes.
that fashion is a business.
Yes.
After showcase, for example, what happened to me after showcase? Me, I thought, as usual in Uganda, after showcase, you pack your stuff in a suitcase, you go home.
Yes.
But for them, after showcasing, they had to announce my pop-up shop.
Yes.
Yeah, they got a big shop. I got a day.
Yeah.
They put everything they had aside and display my stuff.
Yes.
So people came and purchased everything. And I love the way they did it. They were asking me, like I had a manager that time.
Yes.
She was called Christine.
Yeah.
She asked me how much this jacket, and then she had to teach me now, you know, in Canada, you can't sell something from the runway, $300. That's very cheap.
Yes.
Yeah, like expenses are here high, and also the platform you get.
Yeah.
So it helped me. She helped me to price.
Know the pricing. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
She did that, so I gave her the authority to do everything for me. And people were even booking before. They were testing us.
Yes.
I'm coming for this jacket. I'm coming for this skirt.
Yes.
You get. So it was really, really nice, and I sold everything. You know, when you're flying, you always have your shopping list.
Yes, yes.
I had my budget here, sewing machine, camera, you get. I got everything I wanted.
Yes. And so you came back from one chance given to you by the one and only philosopher. We call him the hip hop philosopher, Baba Luko. You came back with this money back to Uganda and you had everything you needed. Kasozi, let's talk about how did you meet Baba Luko, by the way?
As a youth, I never had friends, like basically when I was growing, like, you know, our mom used to try to tell us, like, as we poor and it's okay. In this world, there are those rich people and then poor people.
Yes.
You get, so for us, we are born that way.
Yes.
And we shouldn't be struggling for
things that are for rich people.
You get.
Yes.
So I was very satisfied with my life. And I used to spend a lot of my time from home, within the house. Yes, doing the art, drawing, working with a machine. But accidentally, I went to Laba. No, there was a festival at Kololo. I don't remember the name. WAP used to be called WAP.
Yes, WAPI, yes. WAPI by the British Council, yes.
And I met these creative people, kids. But look, had those kids rapping, painters, you get. And I said, I need to be part of this. So I met the team leader. Team leader told me, come to Machinje. What was there? So I went to Machinje. I met him. I think I used to go there every week. I went there for a month. And I was just doing nothing. Kids were rapping. Painters were doing painting. Me, I didn't know that I have even a talent. Till I said, I think this was going to chase me away.
Yes.
Every time I come, I just sit here. One day, I said, I think let me try to make a jacket. I didn't know that's even important or what. Yes. I started to make I went to a window. I got a very cheap jacket and stitched his face here. Like I have the ability to do portraits using a sewing machine. When I reached to the...
You stitched Baba Luko's face?
On a jacket I'd made.
Yes.
Everyone was very happy and amazed about what I did. So that's how I got also...
From the background of being there just waiting.
I didn't know that...
Yes.
I know how to do repairs and making some small things, but didn't know that it was nice or what. So, you know, as a creative person, Babaluku, so you welcome me, now, you know, I've done this, you can do this, and everyone was coming, other youth. That's how even I got even my brand name from there. So we used to have someone doing graphics came and say, Kasozi, now, you can swear, and let me make for you a logo, you get, and I got a brand name. Rappers used to come and tell me, you got to make for me shorts and stuff, you get. So I got the love and to know that, yes, fashion is good, and now let me settle to this.
Wow, wow.
Yeah.
Well, if you're following the Creative Industry Talk anywhere across the world, Ed Yokila, Ras Kasozi here. We're talking about Ugandan fashion to the international fashion stage. What a story right there coming from Ras Kasozi. Charles Kasozi is his real name, as a Ugandan born, a Muganda by tribe, from the central part of Uganda. Your story is very fascinating, Kasozi. I'm enjoying the show with you today, and this is a very interesting creative industry talk. I want to just encourage everyone out there, go on there and share the story of Ras Kasozi far and wide, and make sure that there is so much love coming to this brother, and go and buy. And of course, I want to give a big shout out to my brother from another mother, Baba Luko. This is like the coolest story I've heard from Baba today of changing the life of Mr. Ras Kasozi. Rasta, let's talk about this, learning from the international. You are now in Vancouver. You have learned something. Did you learn something from there? What did you pick from Vancouver when you came back to Uganda? You were able to say, you know what? I've learned this. I want to do A, B, C, D. And so my question to you is, did you learn from the international fashion stages? And what were the challenges that when you came back, you were able to fix?
Basically, I was different. I think by the time I came back, my name was everywhere. Yeah, everywhere. So by the time I landed here, I had to do so many interviews, and I never had experience into that. Yes. So my life started to change a bit, and I don't like the celebrity life. You get email life.
Because you were told you were poor, you should stay this side. Yeah, now you are being
yeah, you have to dress this, do this. Yes. And it's not my thing, you get. Yeah. So I love to keep a low profile, but I got to know the value of fashion, because they took me around so many shops and so many designers, international designers. Everything was different. Yeah. So I was like, why at home they're not doing this? Yes. So what came into my mind was to focus much on the international platform, because I'm loved there more. Yes. And I have a lot of clients outside Uganda than
you are in Uganda.
Yes. So to me, I'm so much into developing youth's talent in Uganda and getting money from outside. Yes. So I learned that in Uganda, maybe fashion is still starting, it's still young, yes. The way we take fashion is not the way it's taken outside there. It's a big business, and here it's about talent. You get? Yeah, the same thing I've told you about fashion shows here. Fashion shows are about entertaining. Yes. You like perform. Yes. But see, outside there, every year, brands come up with trend and they have to launch them. Yes. After launching them, they sell the copies.
Yes. And that becomes what we wear as fashion in the world, all across the world.
Yeah.
I mean, Kasozi, that's a very interesting learning. Did you face any challenges along the way?
I was super excited. I think I was young and people loved me so much, so I was just receiving, learning everything. Yes. Yeah, just I remember, I used to tell them, like they used to make joke out of me. I never wanted to drink water. Like they know, for them water is life, and with me, I used to know I take water because I'm poor. Now I'm in Canada, I don't take water. I totally refuse to take water. And they were making fun of me.
Wow.
But the biggest challenge was, how do you leave Canada and come back to Uganda? You get? Whereby now you have learned, and what you have learned doesn't work back home. You get? So it's two ways. You leave it, or you challenge yourself. You get? So, you know, now we're having the internet. Yeah, so I live here, but try to make sure I'm connected to the world.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, wow. Thank you so much, Kasozi, first of all, for that moment. And thank you very much, everybody who's watching the show from all across the world. Thank you for being part of the Creative Industry Talk, growing bigger and better. We're going to take a break. And when we come back, Kasozi will tell us a little bit more about, you know, the new program is doing called the Seed Program, which video we're actually going to play right now. And of course, you know, what are the advice that he can give to the young people who have not been able to, you know, get opportunity like him, or were looking for such opportunity? Like, what stages has it been to since, you know, the Vancouver, you know, experience and the collaborations that have been happening? Stay right there. Creative Industry Talk will be right back after this break.
I joined Seed Show to gain exposure, to become international. I feel through this I'm going to be normal.
Cause you're a sky full of stars. I'm gonna give you my heart. Cause you're a sky full of stars. Cause you light up the path. I don't care, go on and tear me apart. I don't care if you do.
itaranto hariho umutware yaratunze cyane afite n'abagaragu kera kabaye agira uruzinduko mu kindi gihugu ahamagara abagaragu be maze abasigira ubutunzi bwe amuhitarane eshanu undi amuha ebyiri undi amuhitarane imwe itagiriye kabiri maze umutware arazinduka maze babagaragu batangira gukoresha za carano nk'uko shebuja yazibasigiye uwahawe shana aragenda arazigenza agenzura amesha hano uwahawe ebyiri nawe abigenza atyo agenzuramo ebyiri maze wa wundi wahawe imwe aragenda acukura icobo ayishamo ya taranto aratinyuka arayitabaye nuko imitsi irahitindi irataha maze shebuja mu kuzindukuruka abarana nabo ibyo yabasigiye uwahawe shana araseruka ati databuja mwiza wansigiye shanu uzungutse izindi eshanu uwahawe ebyiri nawe araseruka ati databuja mwiza wansigiye ebyiri zungutse izindi ebyiri shebuja ati bagaragu banje beza nuko kuko mwakiranutse muri bike nico gitumye mbegurira byinshi ico nimuze mwinjire mu munezero wa shobuja maze wawe imwe itagiriye kabiri adatera hejuru azayivovota cane ati databuja narinzi kuri umunyamwaga usarura utabibye na munagane itaranto narayitavye mu butaka dore ngiyo ufata ibyawe maze shebuja aramusubiza ati mbe mugaragu mubi niko wamunyabutewe esi ntiwari ukwiye kuyiha abagenza maze nkasangaho inyungu yayo nuko shebuja arayimwambura ayigabira wa wundi wungutse itaranto 10 igiye mu zindi agira 11 kuko ufite wese azongererwa ariko udafite azanyagwa n'utwo yari afite maze wa mugaragu mubi baramuboha bamujugunya mu mwijima hanze azize ubupfapfa mbega agahinda we igira umumaro mu gihe gikwiye itaranto yawe iyikoreshe neza igira umumaro mu gihe gikwiye mbese igundo gushigikirana imirimo myiza igihe twahawe aya mafaranga nizo taranto twasigiwe ngo zigire umumaro igihe tukiriho itaranto yawe yikoreshe neza igira umumaro mu gihe gikwiye itaranto yawe yikoreshe neza igira umumaro mu gihe gikwiye
But being a gambler, you can blow that money thinking you're getting it back. Yeah. Money, he just spoils it like a
Good afternoon, my name is Felix Opal and it is Slam Dunk Basketball. Welcome to yet another episode where we discuss, talk basketball, talk the intricacies, talk about what is happening, the latest news and everything. And in studio with me is my co-host, Emmanuel Ateng. Emma, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Felix.
Yeah, it is the festive days are just around the corner.
Yeah.
Let's start with what plans you have for the holidays before we get into the many issues happening around the game of basketball locally.
We're talking earlier, and I think the first plan is to actually get a Christmas tree somewhere.
Oh, a Christmas tree is somewhere inside here, inside the studio.
Yeah, I guess that, it would give you the feeling of, we're actually getting into the holidays.
I hope it will have quite many lights, but I'm not going to be part of the decoration of that. I'm not.
It's okay. You can bring the gift boxes and just
bring the gift
drop
boxes.
them under there.
And in the game of basketball, as we start off the show, interesting stuff happening. Watoto upsetting Emperors, 61-48. The game has just ended, and it's not a result that many actually foresaw coming, including myself, with the way Emperors was prepared for this. Now Watoto get elevated. Your take on the final score of that?
I think when it comes to the Emperors game, even when they played Livingstone in the semi-final, a lot of people thought that Emperors was going to beat Livingstone. Okay, but I mean they play different styles of basketball. But Livingstone and Watoto play some similar kind of basketball. It's more of a running team, so it didn't come as a surprise to me. I knew that these Watoto young boys are going to outrun the Emperor guys and actually win the game. So for me it wasn't a surprise.
To me it came as a very big surprise, seeing that Watoto has more experience. I mean Emperors have more experienced players.
Yeah.
They're players who have actually even played in the upper league, and then this is a moment where you'd expect them to be way more calm, and they're playing stopping time, and they know how to execute better. And here they were, and the result was flipped.
You know how sometimes experience is good, but have you ever run with kids? Those boys run.
Yeah, but that is where the experience comes in. When you know that a team is running at you, you know that we have to set up a D. Then you know that the team is running, they're rotating the ball on the left and on the right. So what do? We set up a zone defense.
Yeah, but you know, those the Watoto guys played up friendly with them before. Very good shooters, play at a very fast pace. So it depends on whose stamina will outlast the other. So I guess in this case, Watoto's stamina actually, outlasted the Emperors, and they came up with a win.
It has been quite interesting and also intriguing, also frustrating at the moment in the lower division. One of the key contentious issues is the issue of Gulu Hawks being demoted, using a player that Federation deemed ineligible after him taking part in the entire season. I was speaking to the General Secretary of FUBA, Hudson Segaman, and told me the competitions committee realized that the player played under a different name throughout the entire season. Now the big question is, who is to blame? The administration or the team?
Well, first of all, when it comes to sports, the team is going to do anything it can to win. That is their role, okay?
Yeah, because you have to win, but then as administrators, you also have to ensure that you show a right path.
Yes, you show a right path, but your main aim is to what? Win this game. So sometimes people go with underhanded tricks to win, okay? Not saying that's what Gulu did. But when we flip it over on the side of the Federation, how does a player play in the first part of the season under a different name? Then the same player again plays in a different part of the season.
Gets into the postseason.
Yeah. If we say they had some plastic surgery and changed the way they look, okay. But if the man looks the same as he did in the first part of the season, and he's the same guy, and you guys actually don't realize that, they just switch names, then there is someone who's not focusing on, someone who's not doing their job right.
Because someone has been in the league for the entire season. Someone has actually taken part in the first set of the postseason, that is the quarters. Then you get to realize in the semis that, Emmanuel Ateng was playing under a different name. So that definitely shows that I believe Pai Kamuga and the other team that is running, Brian Rugendo, the team that is running the lower league management committee, in order.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that I don't think they would have actually realized it if Kampala Rockets hadn't come out to, put it out there that, this guy used an eligible player. But then also, why did Kampala Rockets wait till the guy scored, was it 20-something points? And they were beaten.
He actually scored 27 points.
27 points? Yeah. What were they doing in the first
part of the series? 27 points against them.
Yeah, so what
27 points, 4 assists.
Yeah, so what were they doing in the first game? If they see someone is ineligible, they say, okay, this guy can't play, so we move on with basketball. But you wait for the guys to reach, the third game, then you complain. And now Gulu Hawks has been one of those teams that has been in the Ugandan league for a very long time, okay? And seeing them demoted or actually even exiting the league.
They are actually exiting the league, and according to FUBA General Secretary, there is going to be a tribunal meeting next week to try and see how they can arbitrate that situation. Because there are also other precedents where vegetarian also are alleged to have been using an eligible player.
So the whole situation becomes complex because now let's say that the tribunal sits and allows Gulu Hawks to come back. What happens to the Watoto men who have been actually pushed
who have won
to the higher league? Yes, so do we push them back down? Okay, what happens? Do we open a third division for those teams?
Well, for the federation, those are some of the issues I think, Emma, we've discussed here once and before. Some of these things shouldn't be happening if Ugandan sport is going to develop, not just basketball, all the other disciplines. Consistency, lack of discipline, lack of following the rules and regulations. Because now, I believe the appeal by Guru Hawks has caught the federation in a catch-22 situation, whereby we're like, what should we do? Should we get both teams to the table, or 3 of us on the table, and we discuss this out, or should we actually replay the games?
It reminds me of when you go to play pickup, you know, usually at the pool court, when a team loses by a last basket and someone says that you didn't call a foul, okay, and they refuse to get off the court because they feel, you know, there was a call that wasn't made. So it's the same situation here, okay? Gulu will say, you know what, we are not to blame, so you can't really kick us out.
Yeah, because definitely they are not to blame. They've had the player for the entire season, they submitted in the list, so the federation had actually to cross-check, re-examine, know the players.
But you know, the funny thing is, I think there's a time, I don't remember when it happened, when they were writing our team list, okay? They registered different players under different numbers. And the game started.
But the players are supposed to be under actually the exact numbers.
If I take Emmanuel is 13, I'm supposed to be number 13 on the score sheet. But if you put me as 23,
I'm a different person.
Exactly, I'm a different person
on the score sheet.
So when the game begins and you give the foul to 13, but 13 is not registered, then what happens?
The foul goes to the other person.
Exactly. So I think those situations actually happen. Maybe because whoever was writing the team stats at that time didn't write it correctly. So there might be a possibility. I'm just saying, might be. This is a very, I'm reaching for this one. Someone must have, you know.
I'm actually very eager to know what is going to happen from that particular meeting, and also eager to know when the federation will have its annual general meeting, because there are going to be quite a number of issues which are contagious and very intriguing, which have not been tackled.
I wish they could actually just put that on Zoom so that we can all be available to watch what happens in that meeting.
Well, hopefully, the saying that Federation is saying that the annual general meeting should be coming up soon, and also the issue of the FUBA CEO, who is supposed to be handling, and the man who we are supposed to actually be pointing the guns to, and is also the one supposed to be giving us the answers and the solutions to this. So the General Secretary says the person is already selected and is just awaiting announcing. But we are yet to know or find out how true this is or who this person is.
Well, wherever they are, I pray that they're spin doctor because they have to spin and weave all these situations that have been going on. It's not just this one. Issues with the national team, issues with league resumption, you know, all these other things, issues with the international players and having only 4 of them on a team, all these things. People are going to complain. So whoever that the CEO is, you know, I hope they're ready for these terms
of leadership. And without that, we are going to continue having more and more and more issues. For instance, we have a very interesting fixture that is going to be happening later. Raise Life and Our Savior. Now, in case the victory goes to the other side and the other side comes back to appeal, the federation is going to be back in the same situation.
But anyway, for the Raise Life and Our Savior game, unless you know the reffing is really bad for that game, which is happening actually later today, I don't see why there would actually be an appeal in that game. I know it's a high stakes game for right now.
It's
you know?
They are both tied. For our viewers out there, we are live Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and on our website houseoftalentug.com, and we're discussing the encounter that is going to be happening later today. Raise Life, Our Savior.
So for the odds of this game, Raise Life versus Our Savior, first of all, everyone is fighting to you know, be that top team that gets promoted to the new NBL that is going to have 14 teams, which I believe is really going to be
it's going to be quite a mouth-watering season.
I remember, I don't know who was hosting last time, and was saying if we could have more games, you know, in the NBL. And these two teams being promoted has actually given us some more games.
More games, more drama, more intrigue, and more thrill.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I don't know, I would say that our Savior will take this game. It's going to be a hard-fought game. Might even go into overtime. But today I'm calling it for our Savior.
You're calling it.
But Res Life is an excellent team, especially their point guard, Gideon, superstar player. Okay, but yeah.
Well, Emma is calling it for Res Life for today's big encounter to determine which team is going to make it to the top league. We return after this short break. It is Slam Dunk Basketball.
Talent is here. Uganda has gotten talent. That one is not proven. From boxing, athletics. Now Kenya, I mean, we came in the Olympics better than Kenya. For how long have we been there struggling before? But now we had more medals than them. So the key thing here is corporate companies please come aboard. The government will do their part. They will also squeeze whatever they can to come through. National councils will also keep on budgeting to see what they can do better on us. And also federations, all of them, basketball, football, whatever they come through. Let's have a fair share to everybody. I know football gets the biggest share in Uganda. I don't know why, but because I know my small analysis is athletics and basketball right now, and netball. Those are the top 3 games in Uganda that have carried athletics, netball, basketball. Continental and worldwide, we're doing so much. So we need to also get a fair share to compete with football, which is getting $1 billion shillings plus. We should also be given that opportunity.
Welcome back. It is Slam Dunk Basketball. Felix Saupal is my name, and I am here with Emmanuel Ateng. We were just discussing our Savior and Res Life, the decider of who is actually going to also make it to the National Basketball League. Tropical Royals already qualified. They are up there and they're celebrating and they're eagerly watching to see who else is going to make it. The game is tied, and today is going to be that decider. Emma calls it for our Savior. I say that it's going to be one that is going to be called by the refs. Considering the number of decisions that have been actually going on throughout these playoffs, I believe it's going to go down to the refs. So and it's also going to go down to which team is actually going to keep their head more cool. Because, you know, a ref calling a blocking foul on you, and then a walk on you, a travel, which actually you can clearly see that is not accurate, is in a way going to work up your mind. So to me, it's going to be determined by the refs.
It reminds me of Makerere Open that used to happen at Makerere whenever it was like a final game and Makerere was there. When any stupid calls were made by the ref, or any calls that were deemed stupid by the Makerere students, the game would end there.
I remember the word would always be from one of the fans in the stands, Tuguyiwe.
Yeah, Tuguyiwe, that's it.
As long as another person also calls the same, Tuguyiwe, and
that was it. And then you'd have to replan for a game. And yeah, I mean everything actually almost comes down to the referees because they decide the game. All right, so I pray that the referees are on their A game.
I'm looking forward to see how Sam Gombia actually plays out this one, because I believe it's going to be quite pivotal. They're going to be looking out for him. He's the big down there who they expect to pick those rebounds and actually make those blocks. So this is a game where he actually has to make his comeback.
Yeah, Gombe is a very good player. He's played on the national team. He has played for a couple of teams in the NBL, played for Warriors, played for Rhino at the time they were still in the NBL and also in the second division. The only challenge here is that he's not a quick big man. He's a bit slow, so you'd have to change your game plan. You know, down in the D League, it's, you know, who's faster wins. So you'd have to change your plan around Gombe so that it's a slower game. When it comes to Res Life, they have the Sudanese boys, okay, who are very athletic, who are quick big men, okay, but they don't have as much experience as Gombe. Okay?
And that will actually put him in a situation where he's prone to fouling easier.
Yeah, he will foul more. So as much as it will come down to the refs, I also believe that the coaches are really going to play a very big role because they have seen themselves play throughout the season, throughout the playoffs. So it depends on which coach is going to come up with the best plan, and then it's up to the players to actually execute this plan, okay? But at the end of the day, all these things said, it's going to come down to who wants it more. Is it Res Life or is it our savior?
You see, in sport, there are different things. There are tangibles and there are intangibles. Now, one of the key intangibles is attitude. Now, when you're talking about who is going to be wanting it more, that's something actually that you cannot instill. Depends on how a player will wake up, and let's say how I woke up this morning, how was I feeling? How you woke up this morning, how were you feeling? Were you really determined and you're like, this is a do or die game? Now that is something that you don't instill in a player. All right? You players have to have that. Or the only way you can try to do that is by going the old way. Call them up and have that inspirational speech. Give them that inspirational speech. To
dose of motivation.
To gear them up and tell them, you know what, we're not walking off that court unless we have the W. It doesn't matter if it comes by 1 second, 1 basket, 1 point. So that is what is actually going to make it very interesting. And the other intriguing thing, which FUBA actually should also be praising and thanking themselves for, is that the fans are coming back to the stands. When you actually go down to the YMCA, you can see that the crowd is there. It's not like the other time where the numbers were extremely very few. I remember at the start of the Invite tournament that Power Basketball Club hosted, the first weekend, there were hardly any fans.
Stands were really empty.
But as the weekends went on, second weekend, third weekend,
the stands started getting more full.
People started coming back and everything. And I also admire the way the YMCA is handling the SOPs. Right from the gate.
All the way.
You have to have a mask. They have water stands built. Wash your hands. You are sprayed and everything. I like that. And it's very encouraging for the game of basketball. I wish other disciplines can also start following suit like that.
You know, the irony is that FUBA is a board could have done
and
earlier.
Doing it very well.
Which we could have done earlier, and you know, the league actually would have continued. But I'm glad that these few entities are coming up to show, you know, the bigger body that, you know what, we can actually run basketball in Uganda. All we need to do is be committed to a few things here and there, and we continue.
Because actually the credit of this happening is not actually going to the federation. The credit of the SOPs being followed at the YMCA are going to the institute. They're the ones that have instilled this in place.
The virus coming out, you know, there's that fear again that, okay, what happens? You know, God forbid, okay, that we get into the same situation that we were. But in the event that we do, then how does basketball resume? Because other sports are going on and we're losing out.
We're losing out. And just one of the interesting comments I have here from someone that actually we have hosted on the show, Bashir Wogem, saying the federation should actually get people who work there for as a job, 8 to 5, instead of people who just volunteer.
But I like that comment. But for someone to be there 8 to 5, you have to pay them money that is worth 8 to 5. I mean, if I'm coming there and I have to pay rent later in the month,
you have to pay rent, you have to pay bills,
and you're giving me 100K, then it really doesn't work for actually pay. Then have a lot of volunteers that you're suffering to pay. Okay, so it's a good idea if you can get people to work actually 8 to 5, have them as permanent staff of FUBA. I believe that would be very important and pivotal to improve the game of basketball. But are we willing or are we financially able to employ those people to work an 8 to 5 job?
The issue of finances has always been something that is synonymous, and I would say a chronic problem when it comes to discussion of Ugandan basketball and implementation of policies and execution of so many things in terms of Ugandan basketball. Recently, City Oil were just supposed to be taking part in BAL, and speaking to their management, one of the issues as to why last minute they pulled out was finances. Now, so it is not just crossing from just one team, but it's now spreading all over. And the earlier that it is curbed, the earlier that next season is well more prepared. We've seen even Cobra basketball qualified for BAL. Now,
congrats to Johnny.
Now that is a team that is being coached by our very own. City Oil missing out on this. How big a blow do you think it's going to be to their championship run next season?
Yeah, it's a big blow, and I don't know how much the financial issue played a role, but also I think another thing was that when we went for the World Cup qualifiers, the team actually got back late. Okay, they got back 2 days before they were supposed to go for the BAL qualifiers, and the team was tired, I believe. Maybe there were some other issues there. And this was the season, we had Monday here, and he said that this was the time that we actually wanted to, they had to qualify for BAL. But I mean, if they had played and lost and we say, okay, we couldn't qualify for BAL, well and good. But we couldn't even go, you know, to the next stage because now City Oil represents Uganda at that stage. It becomes a Ugandan team at that stage. So it's for the league in Uganda, I don't think it's going to be a big blow to their title run in the league, but it is a big blow for them on the African scale, because now missing out on BAL is a very big thing. It was their opportunity to get out there, and also for other players on the team, it was their opportunity to be scouted, you know, by other African teams. They have NBA scouts there,
different coaches, get different opportunities.
Yeah, so it's a big blow in that part. But for the Ugandan league, I think for that one they have planned for it for many years to come.
Well, they've planned for that, and they have the top players, but in sport anything can happen. So they have put themselves in a situation whereby they have no other option but to actually win the league when it starts. Because that is the only way they can get a ticket back.
But I don't know what other teams are planning, but as of now, we haven't had anything from JKL because we don't know if the team is still in existence or not, because Jetty broke off and opened, is it Jetty something? He opened another
he has an academy.
Jetty Tigers or something like that. I'm
he has
not really sure about the name.
not a basketball academy, a sporting academy.
Yeah, sporting academy.
Yeah, it has different disciplines there, and we're waiting to see how it's going to channel out. But for the other proprietor, Freedom, every single time you have a conversation with him, he assures you one thing: just wait for the season to start. We are going to have a team, and we have a team. We have players, and everything is set.
Hopefully. That also brings into the question of, does Warriors basketball team have a full squad now? Or we're still searching?
Well, that actually, when you bring up the topic of Warriors basketball club, it's quite interesting. The team who have been, I'd say, mysterious, and they keep on being mysterious. The only thing that Ambrose Tashovia, their patron, will ever tell you is, just wait for us, we don't make our announcements. I quote, that says, just wait for us.
So we're waiting for the team
that is what he says, just wait for us. But I believe that now that we have reset everything, like Federation pressed the reset
back
button.
to 2019.
Everything is reset. we should also be anticipating and be waiting for them. Me, personally, I'm very eager to see what Victoria University is going to be having, because talk in the background is these are the new money bags in the league, and they're shopping for the top quality players. That is not yet affirmed, but it is, you know, just like they say, walls have ears and walls can talk.
I don't know if they're going to pull back their top scorer, Mr. Chizito's Caesar Julius from City Oil.
Well, it will be quite interesting. When we return after this short break, we'll be going through your comments. It is Felix Opal and Emmanuel Ateng, Slam Dunk Basketball. We are live, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Hit us with your remarks, your questions, and we'll be getting them out when we return.
Bronny, you're in the medical field, okay, and most of the people who are in the medical field, be it pharmacy, be it medicine itself, they always disappear. You know, they feel like there's no time. There's no time to do other things. Yeah, so how do you balance, okay, you especially being in the medical field, okay, how do you balance that with basketball time?
Well, okay. So, I know you know, because you're my coach, you know that I'd taken the year off since COVID March because I had a lot, I have a crazy schedule. I study even on the weekends. And I just couldn't also show up for training. So many times I would show up late, maybe I'm missing something at school to show up, or I'm doing something at school and missing training, and it was showing on the court. And I do not like to do things half-heartedly, so I decided to take a break until I can regather myself and be able to do both of them without losing any of them. But how I try to balance, people have always asked me this. Number one, it's grace of God. I wake up in the morning and I'm like, God, I need to go through this day and I need to do all these things. But it takes a lot of discipline. The things my friends are going to do, but I'll never do them because I don't have time to do it. So you have to have discipline, prioritize, know what you have to do at what time, have a timetable and follow it. No procrastination. I do not get to lay around and say, I'm not in the mood to do this. I either do it at that time or there is no other time to do it. So yeah, basically you just have to be committed, be consistent, try to make sure that you're showing up for each, and when you're there 100%. I know when I was training, I would have only evening times. I'm the kind of person that never had extra time to train past high school. So every time I was on court, I would give 100. Whether my teammates were slacking down or not, when coach said sprint, I would sprint like my life depended on it, because it's either now or never. So try to give 100, and basically at the end of the day, I just trust God for all those things.
Welcome back. It is Slam Dunk Basketball Talk. Felix Opal is my name, and we're having just a discussion here concerning the various issues happening in Ugandan basketball. We're talking about City Oil, and we're requesting you for your comments and remarks, and Emma, it is quite interesting here, and actually say that they couldn't handle being at Bal at that level. So, well, so I'm sieving through some of the comments. Then I have another Hudson here who says that the national team should actually change and have trials before they go out again.
Yeah. Well, on the first...
two very interesting comments from the ones that I've got in here in my inbox.
I think for the first comment, City Oil, okay, was the team that would make it for Bar. I don't think they chickened out and said, you know, the competition is too much for us. It's not that team. If we look at the teams, Cobra qualified. I believe that City Oil, that guy who said City Oil couldn't handle, they can actually qualify.
Yes, well, everyone is entitled to their opinion, so that is his opinion.
Yeah.
The other comment was about
the
national team having trials.
Yeah, I think the last time we hosted Monday here, the national team coach, well, we actually talked about if there was a possibility of having a structure whereby we have, you know, we have training running throughout the whole year with different guys from the league. Yeah, and the other day I was thinking, if we were to have new people joining the national team, okay, we've had 2 years of basketball that really wasn't up there. So how do we spot talent? Yeah,
exactly.
When the league is not happening. Okay, so one of the things that we can actually do is have that structure whereby we have different guys, you know, vying for, you know, a spot on the national team. So they go through different trainings. This won't only improve the quality of our national team, but also the quality of our league, because these same players are going to play
in the league, and then they're also going to have more aspirations of actually putting on the Silverbacks jersey.
Yeah.
So the issue of the trials is something that I believe this gentleman is actually right on that.
Yeah, it's a good comment. We should look into that actually.
Yeah, the only other issue would still come in would be the resources of actually how that is going to be run. And then we're going to be having to go back to scenarios of that there's no money, and then we wait for a bailout at the last minute.
Yeah. But I mean, if let's say in your family, Felix, okay, you have a situation whereby you're the breadwinner, you always, you know, get money from here and there, and this time around Christmas comes and, you know, there is no money. Yeah. I mean, you have cousins and you have aunties and uncles. Sometimes it's better to go in-house. Tell each person, you know, give me a 10K. You know,
and then you basically are saying the federation should outsource.
No, in-source, more like in-source, because we have 4 divisions actually. Do you know how many basketballers we have in Uganda?
Well, you cannot actually tell, but I believe we have the biggest league in Eastern Central Africa.
Yeah, so that's minus the